Welcome to Sidewalk Talk. I'm Maria Batt, Director of Client Relations and Design for Shovel the Sidewalk. We are a marketing firm in Western New York, and we utilize the power and persuasion of storytelling to build brands and create advertising for our small business clients. This podcast is all about storytelling. We're telling stories about inspiration, giving you guys information and stories of education. Today, I'm going to be chatting with a truly talented woman. Her name is Destiny Rogowski, and she is the owner of Sweetheart Pinup. She's a professional photographer. How did I meet Destiny? So before I even say that, I'm not somebody who likes to really have their picture taken. And the thought of me doing a photo shoot of just me is something that would probably curl my toes and make me sick to my stomach. However, my husband has an interest in 50s style pinup art. He's looked into getting a tattoo. He just thinks it's really cool. His grandfather was in the war. We've always been really interested in. It's awesome. And so for our anniversary one year, I kind of wanted to put myself outside of my comfort zone and found Destiny and ended up scheduling a 50s style pinup photo shoot so I could give him a book for our anniversary. I was terrified. I felt very awkward. But then once I got there, and after I told Destiny, how much I don't like my stomach, how I feel like my arms are too big, she basically looked at me and very bluntly just said, "Shut up. You're beautiful." I eventually calmed down a little bit and actually kind of enjoyed myself. And after the shoot, I walked out there kind of feeling like a bit of a badass. I felt way more confident than when I went in. And that is what she does with, I think, all of her clients. It is a true gift that she is able to give to everybody that walks into her studio, that it doesn't matter what those little flaws are. You really should only be seeing what is so beautiful about yourself. And for everybody to see what a badass that they truly are. So, welcome, Destiny. Hi, Destiny. Welcome back
Hello.
from your shoot that you had today.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi. So I know what you do, and you're not just a simple professional photographer. There's a lot there's a lot of cool stuff that you do. But let's start, before we get into everything, let's start a little bit with your history. You started your photography career really in Los Angeles when you moved out there at the tender age of 18, right?
Well, actually, what's kind of funny is I started shooting when I was a kid. And the reason I even credit that as being a skill, or learning that as a skill, is because it was back in the day when it was film. So a lot of cameras weren't automatic, and a lot of the first ones that I got handed were ones that I had to set up on my own. And I had to learn how to develop film, and I had to do all of that. So I had started originally shooting like my mom's food, shooting our animals, shooting my brother dressed up in like whatever clothing I threw on him. I even would put girlfriends, and I mean like young, like 12 years old, I would do their hair and makeup. I would put them in one of my dresses, and I would put them in front of a sheet with plastic hanging over it in my basement. So I was like, honestly, doing exactly what I do today as a child. Like, I was doing exactly that. Los Angeles was a really great experience because it propelled me into the celebrity part of photography, which is a whole different world. I mean, we're talking so much lighting. We're talking, there's a hairstylist on set, there's a wardrobe stylist, there are PAs everywhere, there's a photographer, there's a director, there's somebody. I mean, it was like a circus. And you walk in there and there's like 30 people on set, and you realize that these women or these celebrities are normal people. But when you have a team of 30 creating an image, I mean, of course you're going to look flawless. There was retouching, there was everything, even post photo shoot. So I realized, I think in that experience, that it's all smoke and mirrors. It's all fun. It's not supposed to be something that's super stressful and, you beating yourself up. You're just supposed to arrive and kind of just trust these professionals, and they are going to guide you and make you look and feel fabulous. So I liked that aspect of it. And when I moved back here, that was what I brought with me, because that is what makes me different. I'm not just someone you show up and I take your picture and see you later. I mean, a lot of people have had those experiences, and even growing up when I got senior pictures, I hated that experience. I thought I looked terrible, and the guy wasn't telling me what to do or how not to have a double chin, or just not even having any advice about my wardrobe, and what I wore made me look like 30 pounds heavier. So I love the fact that when people come here, I nip that in the bud the second they walk in. Like, you're not wearing this. We're not wearing that. No, we're taking off the fluorescent pink lipstick. No, you can't have heavy eyeliner under here because it ages you 10 years. Like, I help people look their best. You know, I feel like that's the difference.
And that is a huge part too, is it's not just photography. You do hair and you do makeup as well. Were you doing that in LA too?
Yes, that I was doing more so than photography, because at that time I was working behind the scenes and working for different photographers. So originally, I think the first thing I started doing right when I got there, I met a photographer, and actually he wanted to take my picture. This was a million years ago, and I couldn't even believe it, because growing up in Buffalo, I never thought I was pretty. I didn't think I had anything interesting to offer. And I go to LA, and there's this photographer wanted to take my picture, and I was just like, is he hitting on me? But then the day of the shoot, he showed up with an entire team of people, and I realized it was very real. And he liked what I could do. I had no fear. I just had fun. The pictures came out amazing, and this was back in the day with film, so you really didn't have that many shots to do an awesome job. And after that, we started working together as a team, and he thought I was really great at posing, and he wanted me to help pose coach his clients, and also he saw that I could do makeup. So I started doing makeup, and then hair came shortly after that, because once you're on set, if they need something, if there's somebody that can raise their hand and do it, you're doing it. And I think it got over, for me, I think a lot of people, when they want to do something in life, they overthink it. Like, they're like, oh, I'm not good enough, or oh, I don't have this experience, or I don't know anything. When you're on set and somebody needs something, you just jump in. You're an extra set of hands. So I got over the fear of messing up, because it was something that was needed. And I mean, like in a hospital, you know what I mean? You jump in, you throw the gloves on, and you're like in there. It's the same thing for me anyway. So I learned everything on set. And then after I worked for him, he went on to shoot for Playboy. And I mean, he was basically, in the time that we worked together, building his portfolio to end up doing something like that. And unfortunately, when you get to the big rigs like that, it's not like he could bring me with, unfortunately, because Playboy has their own makeup artists, their own wardrobe stylists. They have all that. So I started working for Jessica Pastor, who is still to this day a very, very big A-list celebrity stylist. And she dresses people for the Oscars, the Golden Globes, the VMAs, all of that. So I was working for her, and I was helping dress celebrities. I mean, way up close on them, helping them put their bras on and their Spanx on. And well, before Spanx, actually, we would create Spanx by putting pantyhose on people and cutting off the leggings. I mean, we had $1 million idea back then, and we didn't even realize it, but that's what we were doing to give people that kind of tummy support. So, I mean, that was the 90s. That's what I was doing in the 90s. It's crazy.
That you're pretty young to be like up close, like armpit deep with celebrities must have been like quite the shock from coming in Buffalo.
It was insane. I can't even lie to you. My senior year of high school, I went to go see Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes. Not even a year later, I'm in overalls, I've got bad hair, and I am, the very first shoot I ever worked on, celebrity shoot, was with Claire Danes. And I just remembered being like, you know, like, because to me, she was just everything. Like, she was the girl you wanted to be. She got to kiss the guys you fantasized about kissing. Like, it was like, oh my God, you know, and I tried to keep my cool. I really did, because it was in a professional setting. And the one thing I did show her was, before I moved to Los Angeles, I was in Arizona for a little bit, and I had painted my car, because I had this really crappy car. It was like an 82 Tercel. There was no paint job on it. So I painted it like Romeo and Juliet, the movie. So there was like Jesus on the roof. There was the Sacred Heart on the hood. There was him and her kissing in the fish tank on the door. It was probably one of the most amazing art pieces I've ever done. And it was parked, you know, outside of where we were working. I knew I wasn't going to be able to get her to leave, because we were on set and it's a closed set and there's just no way. But I had pictures of the car on me, and I showed her, and she looked at it and she was like, wow, you're really talented. And I was just like, what? So, I think that was what was crazy, is the things I thought could not be possible in my lifetime, just because I changed my environment and I put myself out there, they were. It was weird. It was amazing. I mean, even till this day, especially being back home, when I tell these stories, I feel like people's reaction is like that I'm lying, and I couldn't make this stuff up. I'm not that creative. There's just no way, you know?
You totally are that creative. I do believe you, but you totally are that creative. I've seen your artwork and I know that you are. Now,
I mean, in an embellishing kind of way. I'm not I'm not really good at speaking, let alone coming up with stories of grandeur, So.
now, now in that glossy world that to, an outsider seems so incredible, what made you leave to come back home? I think a lot of people eventually boomerang back to Buffalo, but what brought you back here? Did you want to start doing the same thing here, or was it just time to come back home?
I think Buffalo's interesting because I came back to visit one Christmas and I had just like the most amazing time and got to see a lot of family members that I hadn't seen in a while. And at that time, my brother was visiting as well, and he lived with me in Los Angeles, and he met a girl here and he wanted to stay and see about that girl. And I think that was one of the things that propelled it, because my brother and I were really close and I didn't want to be away from him, but then also just missing family. And at that time, I wasn't in the best place career-wise. It was like I had just made some bad decisions. I had dated some of the wrong people, and I just found myself kind of not knowing what I should do next, And I had a lot of great experiences and knowledge behind me. I just didn't really know what to do with it. I was just in a weird place. And my dad had told me about an apartment he had in a house here that was for rent. And if I was interested, I could rent it from him. And I just kind of thought, yeah, like, let's do that. Because I kept thinking it would be temporary. As my dad put it, in quotes, come back home and get your shit together. And I was like, okay, that's a good idea. So I came back here and I could not get hired anywhere. No one would hire me. Everyone looked at my resume, probably thought most of it was fake. I mean, it was all Beverly Hills and, Los Angeles and Hollywood, and then some Las Vegas stuff was in there. So everybody probably thought it was not real, but it was real. I was getting pulled over every other day when I moved back here because I had California plates, and people couldn't imagine anyone from California being in Buffalo. And I was like, no, I did it. I drove cross country. This is me. And so it was a challenge, but I did get hired as a tour guide in Niagara Falls. And I was giving these awesome tours where I had to drive a tour bus. Hysterical, but so me. And I had to tell stories about the history of Niagara Falls as I was driving this bus. And because I got so into it, I even made a playlist of different songs to play during different stops, because I'm such a nerd. Like, there was one where I played Journey or something. It was just hysterical. But I loved that job. I loved my boss. I loved being by the falls. It was amazing. And then I got laid off. And I had never been laid off before. And I had never in my life gotten unemployment before. And that was when I was like, what am I going to do? And I started to write lists of all the things that I was good at. And it was all beauty related and painting and everything like that. And I think a friend came to visit, and she had showed me some gal's website, some girl in Philly that had a photo studio, and she did the makeup and wardrobe, and she painted the sets. I mean, she was a maniac. She was like my twin. And I just thought, wow, I think because in my experience, I always worked in a huge team. It didn't even click with me that I could do all of those roles, but I had experience doing all of those roles. So why wouldn't I be able to do them all? And I just, on a whim, started a Facebook business page. I had a few girls that I knew come and be my first subjects. They did their hair and makeup. I posed them. I dressed them. And one of the girls, because it was in January, so it was getting close to Valentine's Day, was holding one of my props, and it was a big, giant, sweetheart. And when she posted the pictures on her Facebook page, she put them in an album called Sweetheart Pinup. And I just thought that was the cutest thing. And I was like, I'm stealing that, because I know if I have to name my business, I'm going to overthink it. And it's going to be something 5 words long and it's just going to be ridiculous. And I loved that. And I thought that was so simple and perfect. And I thought it kind of covered a lot of bases. Like, these are pictures you do for your sweetheart, or it's pictures of you and your sweetheart. Or if you get to know me, I'm kind of a sweetheart. So it just all kind of like, worked. And so that was, when it was born. And I started a Facebook business page. And within the first month, I was slammed. And I didn't even think that I would be, but there was a need for it here. There are a ton of sports bars. There are a ton of men-owned restaurants and men-owned bars. And, it was a cool time to bring some girly glamour to this area.
Now, so you started your own business. Why pinup? Why 50s style pinup photos?
Well, to be honest, I thought it was a culture that I was familiar with from living in Los Angeles. A lot of my girlfriends out there, that's how they dressed and looked every day. I mean, if you went to their houses, they had vintage everything, vintage decor, they had vintage lingerie, they had, all of that mid-century stuff was everywhere. It was everywhere you looked. Every, cool vintage store you walked into, or just cool store period you walked into, had that mid-century vibe. I think a lot of Los Angeles, especially if you go to like Burbank, everything looks like that. And I spent a lot of time in Burbank. That was where a lot of the good stores were. And I just love that style. So I knew how to do those hairstyles. I knew how to do that makeup, and I knew how to dress people that way because I was around it so often. I didn't live that lifestyle every day when I was in LA, but I definitely did it at least once or twice a week, or when we were going out. It was just a common way to look. Even in the Hispanic culture out there, that is just a way a lot of those girls just look all the time, and they look amazing. They wear corsets daily. They just do. And waist cinchers and things like that. And they look incredible in dresses. And I just felt like it was really feminine and fresh because, yeah, I'm sure that there's other photographers in town that can take a sexy photo, but not all women want to be super sexy. Sometimes women just want to feel pretty and glamorous. And I think there's a misconception, especially in this area, about what pinup means. Pinup, if you look up the definition, it means to pin a photograph onto a wall. That's what it means. If you look up pinup girl is reminiscent of the 40s. And a lot of times those women were inspiring the boys that were fighting overseas and stuff in wars to come back home safely. So they were an inspiration. That is different. So my business is called Sweetheart Pinup. So what that basically means to me is a sweetheart, whether it be you or for somebody, and it's to put up on a wall. So it is a broad way of saying photography in a different way. So I never, by any means, when I started my business, thought it would just be pinup girl stuff. I knew it would be weddings. I knew it would be children. I knew it would be family. I knew it would be everything, because it was about making what I shoot for your sweetheart or of your sweetheart, or, and that could be used in so many ways. How many, moms come in here and set their baby down and will say like, oh, my little sweetheart, or, oh, you know what I mean? Like, it's a term of endearment. And I loved that name because, like I said, it encompassed everything in a lot of ways that I wanted to showcase,
You know what?
Oh,
sorry. I thought you were done. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say the 50s styling or the 40s styling, that was just fun. Like, to me, that was just so fun. The first couple of gals that I had come in that were my subjects, we went to eat afterwards, and people were losing their minds over their hair and makeup because they had just never seen that before unless they saw it in a magazine. And they couldn't believe that I could just do that. And it was amazing. Right off the bat, these girls that were my subjects couldn't wait to do it again, couldn't wait to have me do their hair and makeup again because they wanted to get that attention. It was fun, So I think it's just that simple. It's just a new look for somebody, and it's just fun.
What I think is so funny about it is if you look at, that like era, the 40s, like 50s housewife, they had to, they had to be done. You had a cocktail for like the June Cleavers of the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but there's something so empowering about having a photo shoot with you like that. I know with mine, I was terrified before. And when I was a lot younger in another life, I worked at Hooters, and there were all these girls that would always get these like sexy, like caution tape across their boobs or something, you know, like, which is great. And they did it for themselves, and that's awesome. But I always was kind of like, why are you getting, why though? Why are you doing that? So I never thought that I would have ever been somebody, but there was something so empowering about that for me. Do you see that with your other clients as well?
Oh yeah. I mean, a good amount of people come in here terrified. I think it's just because it's fear of the unknown. And once they come in and have that experience with me once, they kind of become addicted to it because they realize it really is so easy. They show up with like a pair of heels and maybe a pair of underwear and a bra as a base just to wear under the things we have here. And I do everything. I literally do it all. Like, I joke around sometimes that I could like dig up a dead body and give them a makeover, and they'd look amazing in a photo, which is probably messed up to say, but it's true. I think that they just have to kind of trust me. So yes, a lot of women leave feeling amazing, and so many women will go out to have a drink or go get something to eat, or even just walking down the street. Oh, I have a funny story. One of my clients once got in a car accident after she left here, and the woman got out of her car that hit her and was like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." And she was like, "You look amazing. Wow, look at your hair. Look at your makeup. Oh, wow. Oh my God, I'm so sorry I hit you." Like, which is so cute because even though it was a bad situation, that girl was gushing when she texted me later, like, "Thank you so much. That was like the best experience ever. And even though I got in a car accident, who cares? Because I got so many compliments," which, you know, is kind of funny. But I think that it just makes people feel special, and it's making them feel special even after they leave. A lot of times I think that's why people are so impatient about seeing their photos after, because they felt so good doing it that they just can't wait to see the results, you know? It's awesome. I love that.
Now, you have, when you walk in, you have a big sign that's in your shop that says, "Shut up, you're beautiful." And I know you said that
Uh,
to me too. Why is that your slogan, pretty much? Your personal slogan?
I will tell you why. A couple of years ago, probably like 5 or 6 years ago, I went on a trip, and you know, it was one of those trips where I was with some people and people were getting pictures of me, whether it be on their cell phone or whatnot. And I remember getting to see what I looked like at that time. And I had gained so much weight, and, you know, I was starting to look older. And because of what I do, I'm not constantly looking at myself in the mirror. I'm more about my clients, and I'm more about working on their photos than I am about looking amazing every day. It's just not something that's always so important to me. So when I was on this trip and I saw those pictures of myself, I just was feeling really low and just like I wasn't cute. And on that trip, I was walking around and I had noticed graffiti on the walls, you know, where we were walking. And I came across one graffiti, and it literally said, "Shut up, you're beautiful." And I laughed out loud because it was already festering in my head about how I looked. And it was festering and festering that I looked bad and that I looked old. And here's this like sign, literally, and it was just spray painted real casually, and it just said, "Shut up, you're beautiful." And I thought that was hilarious and amazing, and it made me smile. So I took a picture of it, and I kind of just kept thinking about it. And when I got the studio, one of the first things I did was I painted just a sign and I framed it, and it said, "Shut up, you're beautiful." And I was hoping that, you know, other people who walk in would notice it and maybe, you know, feel the same way. And that's what happened with it. People all the time who come here notice the sign, and it makes them laugh or smile. And now that I sell t-shirts with that slogan, if I wear them anywhere, I could be in Vegas at a restaurant and the waitress will be like, "Girl, I get that." You know what I mean? Because it just resonates. People get that when they give themselves a hard time every day, you know, they get that. So I love that people wear that shirt because I know at some point they're going to affect somebody else with that saying, because, you know, it's an infectious saying and it kind of stops you and it makes you laugh.
Well, and I know it's not about looks and you're supposed to be an interviewee, but I think sometimes you need to hear that, or you need to see that in a sign. It just, we all want to feel
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah,
you know?
totally. You know?
Now, being an artist and a small business owner and a woman, those are three very kind of hard things to have um, on your shoulders.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
How it's I think it's a very ballsy thing to open up your own business. I respect people so much who just throw it out there and are gonna do it come hell or high water. How was it different conducting business in California as it was over here in New York State?
Well, I mean, to be very clear, when I was in LA, I was working for other people. So in a lot of ways, they were handling everything. And I mean everything by the craziness that comes along with being a business owner and the nonstop surprises and the legalities and all of that stuff. I mean, one of the things that was really big and different there is that it wasn't very often that you could just go shoot somewhere. I mean, you had to get what do they call those things? Like a permit for the day. So there was a lot of people handling a lot of that stuff. Luckily here, we don't really have that as much. I mean, obviously, if you're shooting a wedding or something, you've got to call a place and let them know you're coming. But it's not as crazy as it was out there. I think what's different for me here is that I'm doing everything now. If somebody has an idea for something and they want to shoot on top of a building, I've got to call that place. I've got to show them proof of insurance. I've got to make sure it's okay. And when you get a lot of clients under your belt that need a lot of things, you feel kind of like a ringleader of a circus because every day, everything is so different for every person. It's not like you're a construction worker and you show up at the same site every day. I feel like I put on my hard hat and I pack my tool belt and I'm going somewhere different all the time, and it's just like, I think that that's when you are a business owner, I feel like it's almost like being a homeowner and also being, at least for me as a female, being a single mom, because that's what it feels like. It feels like you're doing a lot of tasks and a lot of things are happening and you're just on your own. I think that's what's different for me. I don't have a partner. I don't have somebody to lean back on. So when I come into work and the ceiling has fallen through and there's 3 inches of water, I got to figure that out, and stuff like that happens a lot. Like I would say at least 3 or 4 times a year, I'll show up here to something really crazy and unexpected. And I laugh because I keep thinking of the movie, The Money Pit, and just like that is a great way to explain to somebody. I'm like, do you want to know what it's like to be a business owner? Watch The Money Pit. And also imagine yourself being homeless and begging people for change, because in a lot of ways, that's what it is. I mean, they call it a hustle for a reason. You have to give people a reason to come in and pay you all the time. And you got to put that ego away. You got to be humble because it's not super easy. It's hard. And a lot of people who have had an interest in working for me, they will come and do that, and within a few months they're out the door because they realize it's not all fun and games. It's not all Instagram photos. They don't see how much work goes into it. And a lot of people's response to seeing how much I do is they think I would never do that much work for that little pay. I
Yeah.
mean, this area isn't Los Angeles. They don't have the same budgets. I mean, the type of work I'm giving people, if I was in LA, it'd be 7 or 8 grand easy for one photo shoot. That's what I'm
Wow.
worth. But here, I'm lucky if it's $250 to $600, depending on what people get. And people complain about it all the time. And it's sad when you hear that, because when you really break it down, and I'm being so disgustingly honest, if you break down the cost of the makeup, the cost of all the tools for the hair, if you break down how much it costs to have all the costumes available for people, if you break down how much it is to be here in this space and how much photography equipment costs and everything constantly needs to be replaced, I'm lucky if I'm making minimum wage. That's a fact. You have to really love what you do to not have that much money. You just have to love what you do. And I do. I've given up so much to do this. you know, I have a small apartment. I don't have a house. I don't have all of these awesome things because I give so much to this place that it is my house. It is my baby. It's everything, you know?
Yeah.
So,
And part of that is also taking things that you love from your house and rolling up your sleeves and building these incredible sets that you have in your studio. I know, like, from the backdrop of like where you're sitting right now, it looks like a beautiful little reception area. However, it's like 2 full floors of just
yeah.
incredible movie style quality sets that you have built on your own. Where are you coming up with all of the ideas for all of them, and then the materials? Because the stuff that you have in these sets are so real and authentic, and like treasures on their own, and would be for anybody's home.
Um, a lot of times simple things inspire me. I have to say, I think how everything got started as far as the sets go is when I was first shooting out of my home, my living room and my second bedroom became the studio. And then when I started collecting things for sets, my bedroom became a storage space. So for very long, probably 7 years, had a mattress that I just dragged around and just threw wherever, and that's where I slept. So once again, kind of giving things up. Um, and that's how it started. When I got this place and I saw that the downstairs was completely bare, I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, this is going to be fun. Like, we can do whatever. So a lot of times sets would be inspired by one thing. Like, I think the first thing I got when I opened up was one of those giant clawfoot bathtubs, because to me, that's like just the coolest thing to have. And I knew I was going to do some kind of a cool bathtub set. Then I had found a salon that was going out of business, and I got from them some salon chairs and things like that. So I knew I was going to do a salon scene. The thing is it starts with one item, and then it takes probably about 2 years to kind of get them perfect, because that one item isn't everything. It's kind of like you think about that item, then you think about a color scheme, and then you think about decor. But because everything is mid-century, it's really about finding all of those pieces that go with it, and then have a similar color thing going on. And is it the right time period? My Mad Men living room set, I found the TV, and that was what inspired the entire set. It was like, okay, I got a TV, cool. Now what? And then it was finding like a chalkware lamp. And then I found this really cool red chair. And then it was the guys who used to have the record store next to me offered me a record player. And I was like, yes, yes. And then I think I had the couch. And then it was just finding all those other little pieces. So that was probably the first set that was finished, but maybe it was like the third or fourth one started. The kitchen scene that I have here is an actual kitchen from a house that was built in 1949 from Huxley Avenue in Buffalo. And that was given to me by my uncle and his girlfriend. They had me over for dinner around Christmas, and I was just staring at their kitchen, and they were like, what are you staring at? And I was like, this is just more than a kitchen. It's a photo shoot. And they were like, well, we hate it, and we're remodeling, and half of it's chucked out by the garage right now. And I was like, get a tarp, cover it up, because it's winter. I was like, So they brought that to me. It was probably the first set that I had everything for, but it took the longest to get together. So it was the third one that was like put out there that I had, because we had to build walls to kind of scale it the way that it looked in the actual kitchen. And it was pretty beat up because it hadn't been updated since the 40s. So I had chipped pieces of paint, took them to Home Depot so I could make it the exact colors it was in its original state. So a lot of that took some time. So yeah, a lot of times my ideas just come from one piece, and then it kind of propels from there. And other times it comes from me building an entire set and not loving it, and then like working on it and slowly letting it evolve. Like recently, I wanted to build another boudoir set downstairs, and I wanted it to be darker. And at first I kind of had this one backdrop and I was backlighting this backdrop certain colors. And after I shot in it like twice, I was like, I'm not feeling this. I just feel like we could do better. So I had this headboard and I painted it a dark gray. And then I painted the walls in the background like this really dark teal and hung these dark teal curtains. And then I hung this like black canopy. So now looking at it, it looks the way I want it. And I know I can do so much with it. But a few months ago, if you saw it, it was like I had the right pieces. They just needed some tweaking. So a lot of it is tweaking and constantly messing around with stuff.
Yeah, that's small businesses in a nutshell, isn't it? It's just constant tweaking.
It's constant tweaking. I mean, I did like this little tour video on my Instagram during quarantine. I watched it the other day and I was laughing because even since just a few months ago, the entire makeup room has changed since then. Some of the sets have completely changed since then. And I was just cracking up. I was like, wow, it's funny. I feel like when you're a business owner, you need to constantly document things over and over again because you're always fiddling around with different things, making them better.
You are on a really cool little section of a neighborhood in the city of Tonawanda, and there are other neat retro style businesses that have popped up around you. There's my son goes to Atomic, and he loves it in there. And
yes.
I've been to Cats Like Us. How cool is it to have other businesses? It reminds me of like when people were early immigrating here and you'd have like a pocket of Italians and like a pocket of like Irish people at this neighborhood, you have like a little retro pocket. What's it like doing business with all of them now?
Oh my God, it's amazing. I mean, when I first moved onto this street, the first business I became friends with was High Fidelity, and that was a record store. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, this is perfect with that whole retro thing. And then I became friendly with Cats Like Us, and I had shopped at their store before. I didn't realize it was so close. How funny is that? And when I realized it was so close and I went in there, I introduced myself because I was like, listen, we've got a really great thing going. It's you guys, it's the record store, and it's me. I mean, we could definitely call this like a retro block. And then the gal I was getting my hair done by was interested in starting her own place. And it just so happened that the storefront next to me was opening, and I let her know about it right away before it was even public that it was available. And, she started her journey from there. And now that's Atomic Barbershop and Salon. And so then when she opened up, then it was like, okay, people were starting to call it the retro block. Like I would hear people get out of their cars, look at my storefront, look at Lauren's, and they would be like, this is a retro block. And I was like, yes, this is working. And then this past year, Hello Sweets opened up across the street, and they are so adorable. They have all this retro candy. I mean, all the stuff that we remember from our childhood or our parents' childhood or our grandparents' childhood, they have it all. So going there is too fun. And I've definitely done a lot of cute things in combination with them. I did this really awesome basket for a pinup contest, and inside was all this retro candy and like a gift certificate from me and Cats Like Us and one from Lauren. So it's like this amazing like retro block. And then just recently, I would say a few weeks ago or a month ago, Twin City Deli opened up across the street, and that place just makes really fresh sandwiches and salads and soups, and it is so beautiful inside and so clean. So together with everything that's kind of going on in the state of the world, it was my idea to do a t-shirt that would help donate to Black Lives Matter. And I took the original fist logo and decided to add fingernails to it and a pearl bracelet. And we're going to do this really cute t-shirt that says, retro block, vintage style, not vintage values. And we are going to give some of the proceeds of that to an organization locally. And on the back are all 5 of our logos, just kind of letting people know that this is, this is a retro block, yes, but please come here. You are safe here. We are an ally to you. Like, it's going to be okay. And all of us have always posted on almost all of our doors, that kindness matters and that everybody is welcome. And I guess we just want to make that really known and put ourselves out there and also raise some money. So I'm excited about that.
Oh, I love that. We'll have to make sure that we have where you can get that. We'll have that in our link. And that's so important. You know, I think everything is so polarizing right now. Everything is polarizing.
Yeah.
And there are so few spaces that not just kids and teenagers, but anybody can go and know for a fact, like, I don't have to worry about what my gender is here. I don't have to worry about what my color is here. I am 100% safe. I know I can get my photos taken here and it's going to be fine. I know I can get my hair cut and nobody's going to be looking at me any differently. Um, and I love that you guys are really, that it is important for you to promote that about yourselves as your own businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And did you guys band all do you just happen to have the same belief, or did you guys like sit together and say, you know
Oh,
what, this is
absolutely.
kind of going to be a mission of ours?
Everybody had the same belief. When everything started to go on social media and people were blacking out their, you know, social medias for a certain period of time, and when all of that was happening, there was a lot of question of from people of where does everybody stand. Now, I got my start when I moved back to Buffalo in the ball scene in Buffalo. So we're talking like, you know, Paris is burning type stuff. Like, so I have forever been welcomed in all Black communities and all African American situations, and everybody came at me with nothing but love. So I have never in a million years looked at anyone any different, and I just love everybody. So I immediately started to post pictures from my past, and a lot of them were embracing one another and feeling safe. And I just thought that was really cool, and I'm so lucky that I captured things like that in my history. And that's actually how I started working for press. Was I shared pictures that I shot at different balls, because that was such an experience for me, and it was so great for their community and bringing each other up, which I feel like there should be more of that, you know, in a lot of our cultures, and sometimes there isn't. So working for people like that and working for Marcellas and taking a lot of pictures. I mean, my beginning experiences, the people who embraced me in Buffalo, New York, when I moved back here from LA and no one would give me work, were the trans community and the Black community. So as far as I'm concerned, they, they, they are the reason that I'm here today. They're the reason that I get to do everything that I do. So I will forever be grateful. And I do believe that being on this block, all of us shared the same beliefs. And when there was an opportunity to help, um, I was the first person to kind of come up with the idea. But as soon as I did, everybody was like, we totally wanted to do something. This is perfect. Thank you. Like, this is perfect. So I'm really glad that everybody was on board, because I was going to do something regardless. And I love that my block is a great representation of um, how communities can make a difference.
You love that you brought up Paris is Burning. It is such a great documentary. If anybody hasn't watched it and you're unfamiliar with the ballroom scene, this isn't ballroom dancing. They're not foxtrotting or anything like that.
No.
But watch Paris is Burning. Watch Pose. Be aware.
Yes.
And just be more accepting and kind. And I think that is what I just love the most about you, is you are so accepting and you're so kind, and you just make everybody that walks through your door feel safe and special and strong. And thank you for doing that for me and for doing that for everybody that you come into touch with.
Well, you know what? I'm telling you, I think it's a pay it forward kind of a thing. I mean, when I was in Los Angeles, I got to see the cattiness of celebrity. I got to see the superficiality. I got to see all of the fake everything and the plastic surgeon all over the place and the starvation diets and the drug use and all that. And I came back here, which seemed like a more grounded world. And like I said, I got embraced by the ballroom scene and the trans community. And I have to tell you, one of the things that I love the most about both of those communities is that they were about celebrating all kinds of different bodies, all different skin colors, all different genders, or even like gender fluidity. And I think that that inspired in a huge way the attitudes that I wanted to have here, because I knew that, yes, I want to make people feel beautiful and glamorous and whatever, but I also thought I would love for somebody to come in here that has something that they think is a crazy flaw, and show them that it's not. That show them that make your flaw, make your imperfection your perfection. So that definitely inspired me in a big way.
I don't want to stop talking to you, but that was so beautiful. I think that that is like a perfect cap for it. So thank you again for joining me. If anybody is interested in getting their photo taken or getting their family's photo taken or mama me session, or you just want to get like a badass, like your hair like done, because she does that too. Check out Destiny. She's awesome. Go visit her on her retro blog. Go to Hello Sweets. That is really good. I got my husband a bunch of banana candy for Father's Day. But support your local businesses, and thank you very much, Destiny.
Oh, and you have to check out Twin City Deli. They have the best tuna mac salad, and you can get it in containers to go. I've been like living off of that stuff. Everybody loves a mac salad. They're so good. But thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. If you or someone you know has a story that needs to be shared, visit our website, shovelthesidewalk.com. Fill out the form on the Sidewalk Talk page, and we will be in touch to set up an interview with you. You can also check out all of our Sidewalk Talk podcasts, either on our website or any platform that you love to stream your podcasts. If you want to find Destiny and visit her studio or set up an appointment for yourself, you're going to go to sweetheartpinup.com. She'll take very good care of you. And thank you so much. This has been Sidewalk Talk.